Hi, welcome to yet another episode of A Story for Your Query. Today, I shall talk about perceptions and perspectives under the title A Frame of Reference. First, the story. A math teacher was teaching a class of 6-year-olds. She asked a boy, "If I give you one apple, and one more apple, and yet another apple, how many apples will you have?" The boy confidently replied, "Four, ma'am." Dismayed, the teacher was expecting an effortless answer, so she said, "It's very simple. You'll be able to answer correctly if you pay attention." Then she repeated, "If I give you one apple, and yet another apple, and one more apple, how many apples will you have?" This time, the boy counted on his finger and replied confidently, "Four, ma'am." Listening to the wrong answer again, teacher got disappointed. Her disappointment could be seen on her face. She remembered that the boy loved strawberries, so she thought maybe if she changes the question and uses strawberries instead of an apple, maybe he will pay attention and answer correctly. So, with exaggerated excitement and twinkle in her eyes, she asked, "If I give you one strawberry, and yet another strawberry, and then one more strawberry, how many strawberries will you have?" The boy calculated on his finger and said, "Three, ma'am." The teacher was happy. Her approach worked, and the boy was able to answer right. So she once again asked him, "If I give you one apple, and yet another apple, and one more apple, how many apples will you have?" Promptly, the boy answered, "Four, ma'am." The teacher was aghast. "Tell me how," she asked in an irritated voice. In a low, hesitating voice, the boy innocently replied, "Because I already have one apple in my bag." What is the learning here? If someone gives you an answer that is different from what you are expecting, it is not necessary that they are wrong. There may be an angle that we may not have understood at all. We need to learn to appreciate and understand different perspectives. Quite often, we try and impose our perspectives on others and then wonder what went wrong. The perspective is the capacity to view things in their true relations or relative importance. What comes first? Perspective or perception? Are they one and the same? Let's see. Perception is the meaning you assign to any given stimulus. Perspective is your point of view. Perception is one's understanding of a given situation, person, or object. Our perspectives come from our perceptions. Perceptions come from our beliefs. Discussion on beliefs is beyond the purview of this podcast. However, let me give you an example. If Sandra believes that perfection leads to success, if she gets a score that is not perfect in her point of view, she feels she is a failure. Because to her, there are only two kinds of individuals, perfect and imperfect, leading to success and failure, respectively. The process of perception has 3 steps. It is initially received by one or more of the senses, stored in the brain, and then meaning is attributed to it. Perception is influenced by several factors. Past experiences is one of them. For example, you go to a party and find it boring. Chances are that you might say that the next one organized by them will also be boring. Context also makes a difference to the perception. Imagine you are walking in a dimly lit street in the middle of the night and you hear footsteps behind you. The chances are that you will be scared, but the same situation in the afternoon may not evoke the same feelings. Is the glass half empty or half full? Serves to demonstrate the way an object can be perceived in different ways. The answer, in this case, might be influenced by the attitude of the individual. A positive person might say it is half full, whilst the negative person may say it is half empty. Upbringing is another biggest influencer. A helicopter parent might not give the child a sense of freedom, and the child might be less confident. An authoritarian parent might have to deal with rebellion among children. Friends influence the way one thinks and behaves. Surrounded by rule breakers, one would belong to a gang by emulating them. Teachers can influence the students too. Some teachers influence the students to select the subjects that they have been teaching. Some teachers influence the students to get better marks in academics. A word of caution here: a teacher might influence the student to not accept getting poor marks. Family that binges on food does not believe in healthy living, has children who are probably couch potatoes, don't believe in exercising, and are obese. Remember, children see, children do. You want children to be well behaved, model good behavior. Do not let perspectives to be based on other people's experiences. Build them on your own. Finally, one more example to sum up. Fathers and daughters have a special bond. When this particular child was 3 years old, her dad laid out a pen, a rupee, and a toy in front of her. He wanted to see which one she would pick. He was just doing it out of curiosity. He said she just sat there and stared at the items. He sat across from her and waited patiently. And she slowly moved towards him. He held his breath. Now the little girl pushed aside everything and went straight into her dad's arms. An adult logical mind sometimes does not understand a child. Any questions that you have could be addressed to yourquerymystory@gmail.com. I shall try to answer them as quickly as I can. If the query is good, I might pick it up to feature in the podcast. Anchor and Spotify permit voice messages. Perhaps you would want to check out that option. That's all for today. I will see you next Wednesday. Thank you.